Not all who encounter the Wendigo live to tell the tale, but those who do speak of horrors that defy explanation. In the icy grip of the wilderness, where isolation amplifies every shadow and whisper, these survivors were forced to face the creature that should not exist. They recount the moments when they felt the Wendigo's presence, an otherworldly cold creeping in, the unsettling silence shattered by unnatural sounds, and the overwhelming sense of dread that seemed to drain the very warmth from their bones. One such tale comes from a trapper in the Canadian wilderness, a hardened man who had spent decades surviving the unforgiving terrain. He never feared the wild until that fateful night. As the winds howled and snow blanketed his cabin, he awoke to the sound of scratching, like claws raking against wood. At first, he thought it was an animal, but as the sound intensified, a voice, soft, eerie, and distinctly human, began to call his name. Terrified, he glanced outside and saw nothing but darkness. And glowing eyes staring back at him from the trees. Then there's the story of a group of hikers who ventured deep into the northern forests, unaware of the legend that haunted the area. As they set up camp, strange occurrences began, footsteps crunching in the snow just beyond their sight, whispers in the wind that grew louder as night fell. One by one, they experienced the sensation of being watched, as if the trees themselves had eyes. When one of them vanished without a trace, leaving only scattered tracks in the snow, the remaining hikers were left with no doubt, they weren't alone. Some describe the Wendigo not as a sudden, violent attack but as a slow, insidious presence that creeps into the mind. A hunter from the Midwest recounts how, after days of tracking elk in a remote region, he began to feel an unnatural hunger gnawing at him, a hunger that no food could satisfy. His thoughts darkened, and a voice inside his head urged him to do the unthinkable. Desperate and alone, he realized too late that he was becoming what he had feared most, another victim of the Wendigo's curse. Perhaps the most chilling of all is the story of a search and rescue team that went looking for a missing person deep in the wilderness. What they found instead was something they couldn't explain. As they pushed further into the forest, the temperature plummeted, and an eerie silence fell. They found no trace of the missing person, but they discovered a small clearing, the snow disturbed and blood splattered across the ground. The footprints that led away weren't human, and as they looked up, they felt it, the eyes of the Wendigo upon them. Could these stories be proof of something darker lurking in the forests? Do you believe? Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join us for more terrifying encounters in the next episode.